What's going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a good Friday. Hope everyone has a good weekend as well. I really wanted to talk about Pokemon reprints, and a lot of reprint news coming around. But like we do on this channel, we dig a little bit deeper, right? And so I want to address all these people who talk about Pokemon reprints, right? And I wanted to kind of, well, what's below the surface of that, right? Like what causes that conversation to be such a hot topic, right? And I was like, well, it's probably because of dead money, right? Like a lot of people seem to care about reprints because they don't want to waste their dead money. Like they don't, right? We'll get into this later. And then I was like, well, who do I see talking the most about dead money? And what kind of money mentality talks about dead money? And I think what the truth is it's poor people. And let me kind of break that down a little bit more too, because when I say poor people, that's like I sound like I'm like, yes, here, ha, poor people. It's like poor money mentality people, or just let me just first off say I respect the guy who rides his bicycle to work at McDonald's 40 hours a week and is like raising a family. Obviously he's probably got struggles and he needs to, work on that, but like God bless him, he's doing the best he can. Then I do like I care about like I think that guy's working harder and I can see him and I appreciate him more than I do the guy who's just like living off his parents, not doing anything, and thinks that he just has figured life out, right? So when I say poor people, I'm not like saying, ha, you were screwed, get wrecked, right? But what it is it's people who well, let me just break it down a little bit, right? So many people who talk about dead money, it seems to be that, and this is what you'll see, right, with lower end people, right? When it comes to like stocks and bonds or any kind of investable, right? The lower people, I don't want to say like lower class, but like poor people are trying to like use these as like rockets. They're more prone to gamble. They're more prone to do penny stocks, right? Because they are looking to get out. They are looking for that saving, that magical skyrocket boom. Oh my God, I've done, you know what I mean? They're looking for a miracle, basically, right? So the idea that you buy something and it doesn't quadruple in a month, well, they don't have time for that because they've got bills to pay and they're barely hanging on, right? So they can't justify going and dropping $500 on a case of Pokemon when it comes out, $550, whatever, because that's dead money to them. It's not going to quadruple overnight, and they've got kids to feed, and they've got first off, they just should like again, it's people who have no business being anywhere near this, but they want to be able to kind of talk. They want to be able to like. It's like when you're a kid, right? And you're like kids and you're talking about like what Ferraris you're going to buy when you're older, but you have no concept of money or any of that. And you're like critiquing each other's picks and Ferraris, even though neither of you have worked like a day in your life and you have no concept of money. That's what it feels like when I'm seeing these people type in Discords and chats and they're talking about, oh, that sets dead money. I'll pick that up next year. When anybody who knows anything, time in the market beats timing the market. We're seeing it right now with Twilight Masquerade. Now, again, I'm not telling people to go dump everything into a set when it comes out on release, right? But again, get a case on release. You don't know what's going to happen. Bro, someone could just go blow up the Pokemon factory and they just can't print anything for the next 2 years and all the product skyrockets. You just don't know, right? That's why we are like hedging a little bit up front and then we're waiting. But the problem is, right, is people who don't have a lot of money, they can't afford that, right? Because they just shouldn't even be doing this in the first place. So you have people who shouldn't be doing this talking about dead money. Like, yes, the concept of dead money is real, but it's been hijacked by poor people who shouldn't be doing this. And if something doesn't double overnight for them, it's dead money. So I think that's why, like, when you just get into talking about this whole thing, it doesn't make sense. And the reason is, it's because it's people who have no idea what they're talking about are filling up forums and stuff, talking about dead money, reprints, and all of this, when it's just poor people who can't afford to let a case sit in their closet for a month because they've got rent due. So if it's not doubling overnight where they're able to flip it, it's dead money. Sorry, not sorry. That's what it is. If you know anything, okay, and this is like, here, I'm gonna just kind of draw a little chart, because this is why this is a thing, and it just will make maybe a little bit more sense. And it comes down to just numbers and percentages, right? Because if you have Timmy B, all right, so you've got Timmy, and then you've got Timothy, right? And Timmy here, he can afford one booster box. That's all he can afford. And it's a $100 booster box, right? But Timothy over here, he can afford 500 booster boxes. Which this isn't a good... Actually, so let's just... So if it's one booster box, it's $100. Right? So if you can get 5,000 booster boxes... Or sorry, 500 booster boxes... Right? Okay. So, Timothy is able to get 500 booster boxes. Poor little Timmy over here, he can only get one. Now, Timmy, for him to somehow become a Pokemon master, and for him to feel like he's just somehow hit the lottery and he's killing it now, right? Like, he's able to flex his one booster box. The only way he's really able to do that is if this booster box somehow went all the way to $1,000. He'd feel like a G, right? Like, that's a lot of money, right? Because if it only goes to like $200, he's only made $100. He really hasn't made any money, right? Like, so he needs these crazy returns, because a booster box going to $100 to $200, well, that only nets him $100. That ain't nothing, right? But Timothy over here, well, let's like do the math on that, right? Like, if his $100 booster boxes went to $200, now he's got $100,000. And then don't even do the math on 1,000, right? That's like what, 5 million or something, if I can do math right? Probably not, but I think that's right. 5 mil. It's either that or 500,000. It might be 500,000. Anyway, whatever. It's a lot of money, right? And so it's like percentages. Like, it's something that people who aren't money mentally savvy, they aren't very good with it. It doesn't click with them. So for Timmy over here, he's like, he needs a moonshot, right? He needs some crazy miracle to happen for him to make $900, right? Because just 200 ain't gonna kick it for him, right? Because percentage wise, it's just like he only has one box. It's not gonna do anything for him. But Timothy over here, homeboy just made 50 grand, right? So when that's the thing too, I see a lot of the times, is I see a lot of people being like, you really think your modern booster boxes are going to go to the same price as base set and vintage? No. When did any of us ever claim that? We only need it to go to like $300-400, and then we flip out of it and go to the next sets. Like, but they can't comprehend that, because they can only afford like 1 or 2 boxes. So that strategy wouldn't work for them. They'd only make like a couple $100 every few years. You know what I'm saying? So they just can't. They need moonshots. They don't need little tiny gains. And that's why it's such a headache even trying to like look at like these Discords and these chats, because a lot of the times, unfortunately, it's desperate people hoping for just completely luck moonshot situations that have no business being in this. Guys, reprints will come. But why would a distributor sell you product? Like, anyone who knows it, they're bundling them. Like, okay, product, you could have gotten a box for 90, but it went all the way up to 140, right? And while it was at like 120, which you should have just gotten it at 90, right? But while it was at 120, you were like, no, a reprint's gonna come. You still didn't pick any up. You're like, no, a reprint's coming. I'm not gonna pick it up at 120. It's gonna go to 90 again. But I didn't pick it up at 90 because it's dead money. So it's at 140 now, and you're waiting for these reprints. Let's say the reprints do come. Why on earth would the distributor sell it back at 90 when the distributor knows they can get 140 to even like 120 on it, right? So if anything, it's maybe going to go back to 120. And then it's just going to pump right back up. So again, we can all laugh at that one guy who was in the Discord who was talking about Twilight Masquerade being dead money and how he was going to wait another year to pick any of it up. How's he doing now? He's probably kicking himself because I can tell you right now, cases aren't going to go below 600 in a year. I can guarantee you that with a capital G. So again, I don't really engage in this reprint, dead money, whatever conversation because a lot of the times, dead money to these people is money that's not quadrupling overnight because they can't afford to leave product in their closet because they can't pay their bills. It is what it is, right? Have a good one, guys.